Tyler leases a car. Sandra finances the exact same one. They both walk out of that dealership convinced they just made the smarter move. Here's the thing, they're both wrong, because neither of them actually did the math past month one. And when you sit down and crunch every dollar over a decade, the gap between these two decisions is so wide it'll make your head spin. Let's set this up so it's completely fair. Tyler and Sandra both pull in $58,000 a year. They both want the same vehicle, a $28,000 compact SUV. Same brand, same trim package. Same pearl white paint. They walk into the same dealership on the same Saturday afternoon. The only thing that's different is the paperwork they sign. Tyler goes with a 36-month lease. $1,500 due at signing, $279 a month. The finance guy leans back in his chair and tells Tyler he's getting a killer deal. Low monthly, brand new ride. Bumper-to-bumper warranty. And when it's over, just drop the keys on the counter and walk away. No headaches. No hassle. Sounds almost too clean. Sandra takes out a 60-month auto loan at 6.5% interest. Her down payment is $2,500 and her monthly comes out to $498. That's $219 more than Tyler. Every single month. The finance guy doesn't even need to point it out. Sandra can feel that extra weight the second she signs her name. Day one, Tyler's payment is lighter, his wallet is fatter, and he's rolling off the lot feeling like he gamed the system. But there's something Tyler hasn't thought about yet. The architecture of his deal is completely different from Sandra's, and it goes way deeper than what shows up on a monthly statement. Every dollar Sandra hands over is buying her a piece of something real. Every dollar Tyler hands over is renting a moment with something that was never his. And that difference, stretched across years, is worth a small fortune. For 3 years, Tyler is cruising. Brand new SUV. That factory fresh smell. Full manufacturer warranty covering basically everything. Transmission acts weird covered. Power steering pump fails in January covered. Air conditioning dies during a heat wave in August covered. Tyler's only bills are his lease payment, insurance, and gas. That's it. No surprises, no mechanic nightmares. No random $2,000 invoice ruining his Tuesday. Sandra's world looks different. She's writing a check for $498 every month and watching her SUV bleed value in real time. The second she pulled off the lot, her $28,000 vehicle was worth maybe $25,000. End of year one, it's sitting around $21,500. Year two, maybe $18,500. Meanwhile, her loan balance is still hovering near $20,000. That means for almost 2 full years. Sandra owes more than the thing is worth. That's being underwater, and it feels absolutely brutal. She told a friend once that every payment felt like shoveling money into a ditch that just kept getting deeper. Tyler notices. Sandra's coworkers notice. Everyone looking at the monthly numbers comes to the same conclusion: Tyler made the smart call. So let's look at the scoreboard through year 3. Tyler's total spend down payment plus 36 months of lease payments comes out to about $11,500. Sandra's total over the same period, bigger down payment, bigger monthly, lands around $20,400. Tyler has spent roughly $8,800 less. On the surface, he's ahead by almost $9,000. That's not pocket change, but year 3 is exactly where the plot twists. Tyler's lease expires. He drives back to the dealership and gets 3 choices. First, buy the SUV at its residual value, usually around $15,000 to $16,500 for a vehicle like this. Second, hand back the keys and walk away clean. Third, lease another brand new SUV and restart the whole cycle from zero. Tyler does what roughly 75% of people who lease end up doing. He leases again. New vehicle. New contract, another $1,500 at signing, another $279 a month. Another 36 months. He's right back at the starting line. Fresh odometer, fresh interior, same monthly drain. Now look at Sandra. She's 36 months into a 60-month loan. 24 payments left. That's annoying. Sure, but here's the difference that changes everything. Sandra has a finish line. It's marked on her calendar with a red circle. Every single payment she makes drags her one step closer to owning this vehicle free and clear. Every single payment Tyler makes drags him one step closer to giving the car back and doing the whole thing over again. This is the core truth about leasing versus buying that the monthly payment conversation buries completely. One is a treadmill. The other is a road with an actual exit ramp. Month 60. Sandra walks to the mailbox on a random Wednesday, pulls out an envelope, and unfolds the title with her name printed right on it. She stands there for a second. holding this piece of paper that took 5 years and almost $33,000 to earn. And for the first time since she walked into that dealership, she doesn't owe anybody a single dollar for the car sitting in her driveway. No more monthly payments, period. From here on out, Sandra's only car expenses are insurance, gas, and maintenance. For the average compact SUV, that runs about $90 to $140 a month, oil changes, new tires, brake pads, the occasional weird noise that turns out to be something minor. Tyler is still swiping his card for $279 every month. He doesn't really think about it anymore because it's just become part of the routine. And that right there is the sneakiest thing about leasing. It trains you to accept a permanent car payment as normal. It becomes background noise. But background noise still drains your bank account. Let's check the scoreboard at the end of year 6. Tyler has burned through 2 full leases and his grand total lands at about $23,000. He owns absolutely nothing. No asset, no title, just a stack of receipts and a car he has to give back in a few months. Sandra's loan total came out to roughly $32,400. Sounds like she spent more, right? But subtract the $10,000 to $12,000 her SUV is still worth. And her effective cost drops to around $20,000 to $22,000. Tyler $23,000 spent. Zero assets. Sandra roughly $21,000 effective cost, plus a car she owns outright. The flip happened quietly. Almost nobody saw it coming. And from this point forward, every month that passes makes Sandra's position stronger and Tyler's weaker. Now I gotta be straight with you about something. The monthly payment is the number the dealership wants you to focus on. It's the number on the billboard, the number in the commercial, the number the finance guy writes on a little card and slides across the table with a smile. What they don't slide across the table is the list of traps hiding behind that number. And I've watched people walk right into every single one of them. Mileage caps. Most standard leases give you 10,000 to 12,000 miles per year. That sounds fine until you realize the average American drives around 13,500 miles annually. So the average driver is already over their limit before the lease is even done. The penalty is usually 15 to 25 cents per mile over the cap. A coworker of mine returned his lease last year thinking he was totally clean, got hit with an $1,100 mileage bill on the spot. He had no idea he was over. Nobody warned him. You just find out at the end. Like a surprise invoice that was silently building for 3 years. Wear and tear. The dealership inspects every inch of that car when you bring it back. That shopping cart ding in the parking lot. The juice stain your kid left on the back seat. The curb rash from that one tight parallel park, all billable. And here's the kicker: what counts as normal wear is defined by the leasing company, not you. What you think is a car that's been lived in. They might call $700 worth of damage. Disposition fees. Most people have never even heard of this one. When you return a leased vehicle and don't sign a new lease with the same dealer, they charge you a disposition fee, usually $300 to $450, just to process and resell the thing. You're literally paying them to take the car back. Let that sink in for a second. And if your life changes mid-lease, you relocate to a city with great public transit, you lose your income. Your family situation shifts, getting out early can cost you the entire remaining balance. There's no clean exit. You're locked in. None of these costs appear in that $279 monthly. But they all show up eventually. Now here's where I might surprise you: buying isn't some flawless strategy either. It has real costs that people love to brush under the rug. And if you ignore them, you're lying to yourself just as much as the guy who only looks at his monthly lease payment. Once that manufacturer warranty expires, usually around year 3 or 4, everything lands on your shoulders. Brake rotors wear down, tires go bald, belts dry out and snap, the AC compressor quits on the hottest day of the summer. And unlike a leased vehicle, there's nobody to call. You're either paying the shop or watching YouTube tutorials in your garage at 11 at night. For a typical compact SUV, maintenance costs average around $1,300 to $2,000 a year once you're past warranty. Some years it's just oil changes and a fresh set of tires. Other years it's a $200 transmission job that wrecks your whole month. I remember a buddy telling me his engine light came on the week after his warranty expired, like the car had a countdown timer built in. Cost him $1,900. The unpredictability is what gets people, at least with a lease. You know exactly what you're paying, and depreciation is relentless. Your $28,000 sub is worth $18,500 after 2 years and maybe $11,000 after 5. That value didn't transfer anywhere useful, it just vanished into thin air. But here's the part most people miss. Depreciation slows way down after the first few years. A 6-year-old vehicle doesn't hemorrhage value the way a brand new one does. So the longer you hold on to it, the less depreciation stings. Time is the buyer's secret weapon. Here's where everything comes into focus. Over 10 years, Tyler has cycled through 3 to 4 leases. Each round costs him roughly $11,000 to $12,500 in payments and fees. Toss in mileage overages, wear and tear charges, and disposition fees spread across multiple leases. And Tyler's total 10-year spend lands somewhere between $48,000 and $55,000. At the end of year 10, Tyler has a car sitting in his driveway, but it isn't his. It never was. Sandra paid about $32,400 for her loan. After that, she spent roughly $9,000 to $13,000 on maintenance and repairs over the next 5 to 7 years of ownership. Her total 10-year spend is approximately $41,000 to $45,000, and she still has a vehicle in her garage. Older, yeah, a few scratches on the bumper, but worth $3,000 to $5,000 and 100% paid for. When you net it all out, Sandra spent less and still has an asset. Tyler spent more and has nothing to show for it. The gap over a single decade is somewhere between $12,000 and $22,000 depending on the exact lease terms. Repair luck and how long Sandra holds that sub, and that's just one car. Most people repeat this cycle 3, 4, 5 times over their adult life. Multiply that gap by 5 and you're staring at a 6-figure difference in lifetime wealth between someone who habitually leases and someone who buys and holds. Now, before you walk away thinking leasing is always the losing play, hold on. Because there are exactly 3 situations where leasing actually wins, and the third one almost nobody talks about. First, if you're self-employed or run a business. Lease payments can be partially or fully deductible as a business expense depending on how the vehicle is used. That tax break alone can close the ownership gap completely, and in some cases, it makes leasing the clear winner by a wide margin. Second, if you drive a luxury or high-performance vehicle where out-of-warranty repairs are genuinely brutal, leasing keeps you inside that warranty bubble permanently. When a routine service costs $600 and a brake job runs $3,500, that warranty coverage carries serious dollar value. Leasing a luxury German sedan is a totally different conversation than leasing an economy crossover. And third, this is the one that catches people off guard if you're the type of person who takes the $219 a month you're saving by leasing and actually drops it into an index fund averaging 8 to 10% annually. You could come out ahead over a long enough timeline. But, and this is a big but, that requires a level of discipline that most people just don't have. Be real with yourself, would you actually invest that difference every single month? Or would it just disappear into takeout and stuff you won't remember buying? If the answer is honest, you already know which side you fall on. For the average person driving an average vehicle, buying and holding wins. It's not the flashy answer. Nobody's filming content about their paid, off-compact sub with 120,000 miles on it. But the math doesn't care about clout. Tyler and Sandra both sat down in that dealership convinced they were making the sharp decision. Tyler thought he was keeping his costs low. Sandra thought she was building towards something. Neither one of them bothered to run the numbers past that first monthly statement. The real mistake isn't which contract you sign at the dealership. The real mistake is making a $28,000 decision based on a monthly number without ever asking what this actually costs you over 5 years. 10 years, a lifetime. And if you're sitting there thinking about skipping the loan entirely and just paying cash for a car up front, that's a whole different equation and the answer might catch you off guard. But right now, the next time somebody slides a monthly payment across a desk and it looks almost too good to be real, ask yourself one thing. What does this actually cost me when the keys are finally mine or when they never were? That's the only number worth caring about.